I mean, I know that when I'm presented with a script, whether it's a script to read, to consider whether it's been to audition for, or to consider because I'm being offered the role, I need to have quiet space and time that is really just about taking that in, which would seem like a no-brainer, but when you have children and a life that's spinning in many ways, in many directions, sometimes it's hard to find that, and people want answers, not necessarily an answer of yes, I'm going to do it, but yes, is she interested? Or your manager is saying, you know, just on the basis of the material, or are you interested? And I'm like, I just haven't had that moment to sit and really give it and honor the writing to begin with, and in a way that I can take it in. And for me, to begin with, it's reading a story. And sometimes it really is just reading that story from an objective place. But in special circumstances, there's something that starts to happen. Because you know what role they're interested in you for, although sometimes you don't always agree. That's a whole other deal. But I try to just take in the whole story. You know, really just go into this world, which is usually, even if it's not a superbly written script, it's always exciting. It's always interesting to me. And as I said, sometimes something starts to happen. Something starts to stir. And that's a sign. And sometimes it happens on that first read, and sometimes it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened for me on the first read, where I've gone back, because usually after I've read it the first time, I almost always read it a second time. Unless it's something that I just go, you know what, no, I don't, for whatever reason, this is not the right choice for me. But we're talking more about when you know you are going to create the character. Though that process for me starts from the first read, so sometimes it's before an audition, so I don't know that it's mine. But there's a process that starts the first time I read it, because of whatever my response is to the world and the character and the circumstances. Once I know that I'm going to be playing that role, it's reading and rereading the script. I do start to make some notes on the side of just things that I'm struck with. It may be something that I relate to, it may be something that I just realize, oh, I want to find out more about that reference that has just been made, whether it's particular to my character or something else in that world. And if it takes place in a certain period, I want to explore that period. If it's an actual person that existed, I want to do as much research on that individual. I've had the privilege of playing a number of actual people, both in the theater and in film and television, and it's a responsibility. It's, whether the person has passed or is still alive. So I love research. I love it so that I do lots and lots and lots of it. And sometimes people have sort of intimated that, oh yeah, she's very intellectual about the way she approaches the work. I do all that so that I can fill my imagination, feel it, and not only know what I knew going into the first time I sat down with reading the script. So it's kind of to actually motivate what is not in my brain, motivate something beyond that. But it does start out, I guess, as an intellectual process, and I love being a student, so it is studying in a way, but it's studying things I haven't known to bring me to new places. So there's a part of me that my back always goes up a little bit when I hear people talk about, well, she's very intellectual, or she's very, heady about it. I mean, it's not an insult, but I'm saying, but that's a means to an end that I don't know what the end is. It's not me planning everything according to the books I've read or the videos I've watched or the interviews I've done with Holocaust survivors or dance teachers or people who knew La Helena or relatives of Anna Lane Owens or doctors who have treated people with allegedly hysterical disease. It was, you know, it's not so current now, although actually I think it is in its own way. As it was in the 19th century. I'm talking about false cut. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I think it's time to